The New Testament lesson today is Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 18. Again, Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 18. And you'll find this in the Pew Bible on page 1824. Page 1824. Finally, be strong in the Lord and his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand, stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplates of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and pray in the Spirit on all occasions, with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the saints. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, may the words of my mouth and the collective meditation of our hearts be acceptable in your sight. O Lord, our strength, our rock, our Redeemer. Amen. Well, good morning, all you beautiful children of God. I pray everyone's doing well. And thank you for coming to Grove to worship with us this morning. And how about the weather lately? I don't know about you guys, but I am so glad that there is not so hot, not so humid. The leaves are starting to change just a little bit. Like I said, the humidity's down. It's way down. And we don't see the sun today, but that's okay because there's still a very nice, pleasing crispness in the air. And that's my kind of weather. Love it. That crisp feeling in the air. Well, folks, that's not the only thing in the air. There's a revolution in the air, and it's been there since the fall of man. The battle of good versus evil. Right versus wrong. Light versus dark. Now, before I go any further, please allow me to define revolution. Revolution is a forcible overthrow of a government or social order in favor of a new system. Again, it is a forcible overthrow of a government or social order in favor of a new system. Yet, since the time when Adam and Eve decided to listen to the doubting hint of the serpent that he planted within their hearts, and they decided to exercise their free will and take a chance that perhaps God did not tell them all they needed to know. In the beginning of the revolution, it was God speaking. And when God spoke, he spoke loudly, and you had better listen. As stated in the 37th chapter in the book of Job, listen. Listen to the roar of his voice, to the rumbling that comes from his mouth. He unleashes his lightning beneath the whole heaven and sends it to the ends of the earth. After that comes the sound of his roar. He thunders with his majestic voice. When his voice resounds, he holds nothing back. God's voice thunders in marvelous ways. He does great things beyond our understanding. Now, after Adam and Eve had defied God's command and ate from the tree of knowledge, God found them hiding in the garden. He spoke to the three of them As told in the 3rd book of Genesis, the Lord called to the man, "Where are you?" He answered, "I heard you in the garden. I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." And God asked, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree that I had commanded you not to eat from?" The man said, "The woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree and I ate it." Then the Lord said to the woman, "What is this you have done?" The woman said, "The serpent deceived me and I ate." So the Lord said to the serpent, "Because you have done this, cursed are you above all the livestock and all the wild animals. You will crawl on your belly and you will eat dust all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel." And to the woman he said, "I will greatly increase your pains in childbearing. With the pain you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you." To Adam he said, "Because you listened to your wife and ate from the tree about which I commanded you, you must not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil you will eat of it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your brow you will eat your food until you return to the ground, since from it you were taken. For dust you are, and to dust you will return." And after Adam and Eve had been driven out, God placed a cherubim and a flaming sword flashing back and forth on the east side of the Garden of Eden to guard the way back to the tree. And so it began. The war of good versus evil, right versus wrong, light versus dark. God had given just one command of what not to do. One rule regarding right and wrong. And it was ignored, it was challenged, and man lost. The only thing man had to offer in his defense was excuses and placed blame. So God spoke, and he spoke loudly with his words and his actions. The Old Testament is full of stories where God spoke loudly through his words and actions. God saw the wickedness of man and that his thoughts were inclined to evil all the time. God had reached his limit of his tolerance for the violence and corruption, and he decided to wipe mankind from the face of the earth. Noah was found to be righteous and blameless before God, and he told Noah to build an ark because he was going to destroy all of the mankind. Just Noah's family and the animals he gathered would survive. What about Abraham? After 100 years of not having a child with his wife Sarah, he was blessed with the son Isaac. Then Abraham was tested by God. God gave specific directions where to take Isaac and offer him as a sacrifice. After showing his faith and trusting God, Abraham was rewarded. God spoke very loudly through an angel when he told Abraham that because of his obedience and did not withhold his only son, he would be blessed. His descendants would be as numerous as the stars and as the sand on the seashore. He was told his descendants would take possession of the cities of their enemies. Also, through his offspring, all nations on earth will be blessed because he obeyed God. God speaking to Moses through a burning bush. God delivered a loud, strong message to Pharaoh with the angel of death. God's parting of the Red Sea. God also spoke loudly through the prophets. There are too many stories to try to cover them all. So let us fast forward to the New Testament. The New Covenant, the time of Jesus Christ, the promised Messiah. Under the Old Covenant, the Father spoke. But it is now time for the Son to speak. Jesus, Son of God, came into the world in a quiet way. Born in a stable away from the noises of a bustling town full of travelers returning home for census. A baby's cry could be seen as a whisper when compared to the sounds of downtown Bethlehem. He was raised in a town that would later prompt the question, can anything good come out of Nazareth? At the age of 12, Jesus traveled with his family to Jerusalem for the annual feast of the Passover. The family was returning home, and about 3 days later, they realized Jesus was not with them. They returned to Jerusalem and found him in the temple with the teachers, listening and asking questions. Everyone, including his parents, were astonished. They were astonished at his answers. When asked by his mother how could he do something like that to them, he answered them with 2 questions. Why do you seek me? Did you not know that I must be about my Father's business? A quiet but a profound statement about who he truly was. His first miracle. Behind the scenes at a wedding at Cana, and the host runs out of wine. Jesus' mother tells him about the situation, and he asks what her concerns have to do with him. And comments, his time hasn't come yet. His mother simply turns to the servants and tells them to do whatever he tells you to do. Jesus quietly instructs the servants to fill the water pots with water. After filling them to the brim, Jesus instructs them to draw some out and take it to the master of the feast. The master of the feast tastes the wine and comments to the bridegroom that usually the best wine is served first. And after everyone has had too much to drink, they bring out the lesser wine. In this case, the best wine was saved for last. Only the servants, and I believe Mary also, knew the truth. Even in the recruitment of his first disciples, Jesus was quiet. He spoke in a voice not to be heard by everyone. As the account of Jesus calling his first disciples reads in the book of Mark, as Jesus walked beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw Simon and his brother Andrew casting the net into the lake, for they were fishermen. Come, follow me, Jesus said, and I will make you fishers of men. And once they left their nets and followed him, when he had gone a little farther, he saw James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John in the boat preparing their nets. Without delay, he called them, and they left their father Zebedee in the boat with the hired men and followed him. Oh, how quietly Jesus called them. And so it began. Jesus, the quiet one, is going to continue the revolution. Jesus was a rebel. Make no mistake about it, he was a rebel. I like to call him the rebel with a cause. At this time, the revolution was going to be really close to home. At this time, God's chosen people were under Roman rule. They wanted to be free. However, they were still allowed to practice their faith the same way they did for hundreds of years, following the law of Moses. Unfortunately for many, the law had been added to, and these additions came from man, not God. The laws were interpreted to benefit a chosen few more so than the majority. The laws kept the wealth in the hands of those who were benefiting from these slanted interpretations, helped to keep the power over the people in the hands of chosen religious leaders. And Jesus was about to change all of that. Jesus was there to tell everyone about the new covenant, the new order of how things are to be done. And the teachings of Jesus did not sit well with the existing religious leaders. They did not want to hear they were not doing God's will. And they were not doing things mostly for personal gain and status. The religious leaders didn't like being called den of vipers. They didn't like the answers they received from Jesus when they tried to trap him with questions regarding their religion. They just didn't like him. Jesus was a threat to them. He threatened their knowledge, their position as religious leaders, their status in the community, their very way of life. Jesus was including the Gentiles as those he was sent to save. But no, the Messiah was sent to save God's chosen people, not all these others. Jesus knew otherwise. They considered some of the things he said to be blasphemous, for which the penalty was death. They wanted him dead. However, Jesus continued his campaign to tell all the people what it takes to live a life pleasing to God. At times, Jesus would sit and speak to the crowds in various towns, even teaching in synagogues, preaching the good news about the kingdom. And when the religious leaders thought they had him trapped, he would elude them. Jesus was on a mission. He was all about doing his Father's will, changing and saving the world. So much of Jesus' campaign was done one-on-one, a very quiet and intimate way of spreading his good news. Nicodemus, a man of the Pharisees, came to see Jesus one night, and Jesus declared to him how no one can see the kingdom of heaven unless he is born again. Jesus told him, one must be born of water and the Spirit, for the flesh gives birth to flesh, the Spirit gives birth to spirit. Now, how many of the religious leaders do you think Nicodemus mentioned this to? Plant the seed. The centurion that had some elders of the Jews approached Jesus when he entered Capernaum to ask for healing for the soldier's highly valued servant who was sick and he was dying. Jesus agreed to go to the house, but not far from the centurion's home, friends stopped Jesus and told him that the soldier didn't feel this house was worthy enough for Jesus to enter. He believed Jesus could heal his servant without entering. Jesus said he had not witnessed such faith even in Israel. The friends returned to the house and find the servant well. Now, how many Roman soldiers do you think the centurion quietly told about the love and power of Jesus? Jesus was indeed on a mission to show the world the truth. He was on a mission to save the world. There's so many more stories. Actually, too many for my time to love. I believe that's how you have a successful revolution. You tell people about your cause, have them believe in your cause, have them see the truth in the cause and the truth in the leader, and then you lead the people. Don't just stand back and watch, but lead. That's what Jesus did, and he's still doing it now. What he proclaimed nearly 2,000 years ago is still true today, and he's still leading us. As a Christian, I want to be a part of that revolution. I want to be a warrior for Christ. I want to share the good news of Jesus Christ. How about you? Are you willing to pick up the cross and carry it proudly? It makes me think about the places around the world where the freedom of expressing one's faith in Jesus Christ is punishable by death. We're so blessed to live in a country where we are allowed to freely live our faith. So yes, I want to be a warrior for Christ. And remember, before we go out there, as Carlos so eloquently put it, the lesson from Ephesians, what we are, how we are to prepare ourselves. And you want to know something else? I can't think of a better place to start than right here in Grove's backyard, our community. Let's bring Jesus' worldwide campaign right to the doors of Grove. Let's see how many lives we can affect. Let's see how many hearts and minds we can lead to Jesus so that they can learn that he is the way, the truth, and the light. Yeah, let's become a part of Jesus' campaign, and I can give you one really good reason. You see, his campaign is the one in which all who succumb are rewarded with a life that can be filled with joy, hope, and love. So lest we forget, John 3:16-17. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.